What if the American Revolution failed? No stars and stripes, no president, no constitution, just 13 colonies beaten, divided, and still loyal to the crown. This isn't fiction. America came terrifyingly close to losing its war for independence. Outgunned, outnumbered, and nearly bankrupt by 1780, the dream of freedom hung by a thread. But what if it snapped? Today we explore a world where George Washington surrenders and the United States never happens. Let's step into that world. To imagine a British America, we start with the moment things fall apart. It's 1781. The Continental Army is battered, supplies are scarce. Morale is low. France has joined the war, but support is thin and slow. Now imagine the Battle of Yorktown goes the other way. British General Cornwallis doesn't get surrounded, he gets reinforced. The French Navy never arrives. Washington is forced into retreat and then capture. Without victory at Yorktown, the revolution collapses. Congress flees, the army dissolves. And in 1783, instead of the Treaty of Paris recognizing U.S. independence, a different treaty is signed, one that brings the colonies back under direct British rule. In this timeline, the founding fathers are rebels, and rebels are punished. George Washington is captured, possibly executed. Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, and Benjamin Franklin go into exile or are arrested. Alexander Hamilton, tried for treason. The leaders of the revolution are labeled traitors, not heroes. Their ideas don't disappear, but they go underground, smuggled, censored, hunted. The American Enlightenment dies in its crib. With the rebellion crushed, the U.S. never drafts the Constitution in 1787. There's no Bill of Rights, no First Amendment, no freedom of speech, no separation of church and state. The colonies are reorganized into crown provinces, each governed by British-appointed governors and loyalist officials. The king's law is the only law, and representation, still a joke. No taxation without representation becomes just another broken dream. In real history, slavery was already a moral and political powder keg, but in this timeline, abolition is delayed maybe indefinitely. Why? Because Britain only began abolishing slavery in its empire in 1833, decades after American independence. Without the U.S. abolition movement, and without figures like Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, or Abraham Lincoln, slavery becomes even more entrenched in the American South. The British economy profits from it. Plantation owners thrive. And without a civil war to break the system, slavery lasts longer, possibly into the late 1800s. By the early 1800s, the 13 colonies are reorganized and expanded into British provinces. The Crown maintains order from New York, while colonial governors rule with authority granted by Parliament. The American flag, never designed. The capital, possibly Philadelphia, but under British administration, no Congress, no White House. North America evolves like Canada did. Still English-speaking, still prosperous, but deeply loyal to Britain. No revolution, no republic, no democracy as we know it. And those revolutionary ideas, liberty, self-government, separation of powers are suppressed. They become whispers. The Western lands remain unsettled by Britain for decades. Spain, France, and Native American nations retain more territory. The Great Plains, still home to independent tribal confederations. California, maybe still under Spanish or later Mexican rule. Oregon and the Pacific Northwest, contested between Britain and Russia. Here's a twist. Without a rapidly expanding U.S. government, Native American nations may retain more autonomy. In real history, the U.S. broke every treaty, pushed west relentlessly, and committed genocide across the plains. But in this alternate world, Britain's approach to Native peoples was different, still colonial, still exploitative, but slower, more focused on trade than conquest. The Iroquois Confederacy, the Cherokee, and others might survive as recognized nations, at least for longer. The Trail of Tears may never happen. Now let's just zoom out. In real history, the American Revolution inspired the French Revolution in 1789, lighting a spark for liberty across Europe. But if the U.S. Revolution fails, that spark is never lit. French radicals have no successful model to emulate. King Louis XVI faces less pressure. The storming of the Bastille may be delayed or avoided. All because one rebellion in the American colonies failed. In our world, the United States became a symbol of democracy, flawed, yes, but powerful. Its Constitution inspired movements around the world. Its Bill of Rights influenced dozens of other nations. But in this alternate timeline, there's no democratic superpower, no model republic, no global counterweight to monarchies and empires. Without the US, the wave of 19th century liberal revolution in Latin America, Europe, and even Asia weakens. Fewer nations embrace representative government. The 20th century becomes more imperial, less democratic. The idea of freedom is just that, an idea, not a reality. Let's jump ahead. It's 1914. The Great War begins. In our timeline, the US entered in 1917 and tipped the balance, leading to Allied victory. But in this world, there is no United States. Just British America, still a colony or dominion, without the power or will to intervene. World War I grinds on longer. Germany maybe wins, or peace is brokered without total surrender. Either way, the Treaty of Versailles looks very different, and without US economic and political muscle in the 1920s and 30s. World War II plays out on a far darker stage. In World War II, America became the arsenal of democracy, outproducing every other nation combined. But here, there's no Roosevelt, no Lend-Lease, no D-Day. Britain and its colonies fight alone. The Nazis overrun Europe, maybe even force a treaty. Japan dominates the Pacific unchallenged. The Holocaust isn't stopped. Nuclear weapons might still be built, but by who and for what? The world's ability to fight totalitarianism is crippled, and without the US, the post-war world isn't rebuilt. It's rearranged by victors, possibly fascist ones. In our world, the Cold War was defined by two superpowers, the capitalist United States versus the communist Soviet Union. But without the US, who stops the USSR? The answer might be no one. Stalin's influence spreads unchecked across Europe. China turns communist and stays tightly aligned. Eastern Europe becomes even more locked down. Western Europe, weakened, faces Soviet pressure with no backup. The Cold War may never be cold at all, and if nuclear weapons still exist, the first and only country with them might be the Soviets. In our timeline, it was American rivalry with the Soviet Union that launched the space race. NASA, Apollo, Neil Armstrong. But without the United States, there's no moon landing in 1969. There may still be satellites, perhaps even a manned mission, eventually. But not as a race, not with urgency, not with a televised moment that united Earth for a few brief hours. The phrase "one small step for man" is never spoken. The stars remain distant, cold, silent. Without the US, one of the most powerful and visible human rights movements in modern history never happens. No Martin Luther King Jr., no Rosa Parks, no Selma, no Civil Rights Act. Slavery may have ended across the empire by the late 1800s, but racism remains entrenched, and activism is slower, quieter, and easier to suppress under Crown rule. The global fight for racial justice loses one of its most important voices. Millions grow up in a world where segregation, colonialism, and inequality are simply never questioned. Love it or hate it, the United States shaped the modern world. It built the internet, pushed the frontiers of medicine, pioneered space travel, exported democracy and sometimes hypocrisy. Led, stumbled, failed, rose again. Without it, the 20th century becomes longer, darker, and slower. The global balance shifts toward empires, not republics. Surveillance states, not free markets. Monarchies, not constitutions. So what if America lost the Revolutionary War? We lose more than a country. We lose ideas. The idea that ordinary people can govern themselves, that power can be challenged, that freedom, though flawed, is worth fighting for. History is not guaranteed. It hinges on moments, a battle, a storm, a single bad decision. And sometimes it turns out the only thing standing between the old world and a new one is a ragtag army with more guts than gunpowder.